What do you mean by customs valuation? How is customs value be determined? Are you one of those students who are looking for simplified discussions about how to actually get the dutiable value of your goods? Or shall I say, what are the processes or steps perhaps on how to finally compute the customs duties? You are on the right video because today we will teach you how to compute, and it is a guarantee that at the end of this video you will get to understand all of those things. Are you ready? Because we are absolutely ready. Hey, hello, this is Christine Joy Bayon-on, and yes, welcome finally to our virtual discussion. And on behalf of my group mates, may we present to you our presentation for today, and that is all about computation and dutiable value and conversion of units. I know you find the topic interesting, aren't you? So these are our learning objectives. Fully understand the WTO Customs Valuation System, to learn how to compute the dutiable value and to objectively get the customs duty, and to understand the conversion of units. Alright, to start with, we have here presenting the topic outlines. So basically, at the end of this video, you will get to achieve and to understand all of those things that I have mentioned a while ago. So without further ado, let's go straight to the video.
Hello everyone, my name is Janela Richem Guzon from Group B, and my report is all about the WTO agreement, or also called as World Trade Organization. The WTO agreements, or also called as World Trade Organizations, means it covers goods, services, and intellectual property. They include individual countries or commitments to lower customs tariffs and other trade barriers, and also to keep open services markets. They set procedures for settling disputes. They prescribe special treatment for developing countries. So next, originated as a result of multilateral trade negotiations in GATT 1979 Tokyo Round. The report gives a detailed account of the negotiations from April 1979 to their conclusions at the annual session at Geneva of the GATT contracting parties or member countries in November 1979. It thus supplements and completes the descriptions and assessment given in the Director General's earlier report issued in 1979 April. Just after agreements were reached on most elements of the Tokyo Round, the widest ranging and most ambitious trade negotiations ever carried out. As this supplementary report points out, several important issues remain to be belittled after the April 1979 meeting of the Trade Negotiations Committee, the body responsible for guiding the Tokyo Round. Among them, 1. The question of revising the GATT safeguard rules remains unsolved, and also the negotiations are to continue. So, adopted at the end of the Uruguay Round 1986 to 1994. The Worldwide Trade Treaty adopted to the round's end slashed tariffs on industrial goods by an average of 40%, reduced agricultural subsidies, and included groundbreaking new agreements on trade and services. Next, provides detailed valuation rules expanding and giving greater precision to the general principles established in the GATT. So if we customs like to know about the background and the further info regarding valuation methods, we can refer the agreement as a reference aside from what has been provided in our CMTA. And also, the WTO agreement in this case is a reference if we brokers or importers, for instance, if we also want to know the detailed procedures and how the valuation method finding the correct customs value of an imported good.
So good day everyone, this is Gal Cañete, second year customs students, and I am here right now to report about the customs violation. So I already know that almost all of us is already know about this topic or heard about this topic before, because this topic is already discussed to us into our previous classes or our previous subjects. So I'm just here right now to remind you again about this topic. So I'm just gonna start my discussion about by the customs violation is a process where the customs authorize assigning a mandatory value to a good or service for a purpose of import or export. Generally authorized engage the process as a means of protecting tariff concessions, collecting revenue for a government authority, implementing trade and policy, and protecting public health and the safety. Next, I'm gonna mention about the six methods of summarize of methods of customs are using right now. First is the transaction value or Article 1 and 8. Second is transaction value of the identical goods or Article 2. And the third one is the transaction value of similar goods, Article 3. And the next is the deductive method of Article 5. And the next is computed method of Article 6. And the last one is the fallback method, Article 7.
Hello everyone, I am Vincent Rey Sereno and I'll be discussing how is customs value determined. The Customs Act identifies 6 methods of customs valuation. The first one is transaction value. Importers should use this method when determining the value for duty on the price paid or payable for imported goods with consideration to certain adjustments. What is price paid or payable? Price paid is the total of all payments made directly or indirectly by the purchaser to the vendor. Price payable is the total of all payments that are owed and made directly or indirectly by the purchaser to the vendor. You must use transaction value method whenever possible to determine the customs value of imported goods. The next one is transaction value of identical goods. When you cannot use transaction value, you must use an established value for duty of identical goods. Identical goods are considered the same in all respects as the goods being appraised. They have one exception, however, and that is for minor differences in appearance. Next one is transaction value of similar goods. When you cannot use transaction and identical goods, you must use an established value for duty of similar goods. For goods to qualify, the value of goods must be closely resembling the similar goods, capable of performing the same function, commercially interchangeable, produced in the same country and by the same manufacturer as the similar goods. Next is deductive method of valuation. If none of the above methods apply, the deductive value method is the next method to consider. The basis of this method is on the Canadian importer's most common selling price per unit of the goods sold to Canadian customers. Next, computed method of valuation. The computed method of valuation is the cost of production, profit, and general expenses of the imported goods. This must be realized by producers in the exporting country when selling the same type of goods to Canadian importers. And last method is residual method of valuation. The residual method does not identify specific requirements for determining a value for duty. Instead, the value is based on one of the other methods considered in sequence. It also requires the least amount of adjustment. The value must be fair market and reflect commercial reality. The World Trade Organization's valuation agreement is the basis of the requirements of each of these methods. You must consider these methods in sequence, beginning with transaction value and moving through the remaining 5, ruling them out one by one until use of a method that suits the goods is appropriate. And that's how customs value determined. That's all for my report. Thank you.
Once again, this is Christine Joy Bayon-on, and at this part, I'll be sharing with you the formula on how we can objectively compute the dutiable value on our goods. So it was mentioned earlier that customs valuation is the process to determine the total value of our imported goods. Now technically, with that simply means that it's all about finding the customs value or the dutiable value of our goods. Okay, seriously. We must know first how to compute the value of the goods. And take note that we cannot impose the amount of customs duties unless we have the total value. In the same manner, you cannot also get the exact amount of taxes unless you have computed first the value of the goods. So with that simply means we have to primarily get the total value. Now, to get the dutiable value, we will be considering these three components. And what are these three components? The three components of dutiable value, we have customs value, freight, and insurance. The terminology customs value refers to the cost of the goods alone without other additional expenses like insurance or freight. Now basically, customs value is the actual value of your goods alone. Alright, so before we can actually compute the customs duties, we will be including insurance and freight. And for your information, both of these are again included in our domestic law. And in fact, the Bureau of Customs issued actually a memorandum order that in computing the dutiable value, insurance must be included together with the freight. Then, followed by our second component, we have insurance. The purpose of insurance is for both importer and exporter to have security, claims for the liability of the goods. Like, for instance, in an international transaction, during transportation, there might be fortuitous events like typhoon that the goods might encounter. So, in order to secure the importer from any damages or let's say loss that will be encountered to their goods during the transportation, insurance is there to provide them security and claims for the liability of their goods. That's actually the purpose of insurance. The third and last component, we have dutiable freight or payment, and it's actually the same with fare. Although in goods it is actually called freight and it could be sea or air freight, and moreover it is incurred outside of the country, and the nature of payment of freight is an imported transaction. Now, finally, in computing the dutiable value, please take note of this formula. Alright, so just simply add all of those three components, and once done, you have now the dutiable value expressed in dollar. But we are not yet done because we have to convert that value into peso. Now, to get the dutiable value expressed in peso, please use this formula. Alright, so just simply multiply the DV expressed in dollar to our rate of exchange in peso. Now, in the rate, with regards to rate, the rate is actually published by the BSP or Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas every week. Alright, so if you do the calculation properly, there's no way you can get a wrong answer. Now next, using our dutiable value in peso, we can now compute the customs duty. The big question is, how? To answer that question, please, let's hear it from our next speaker.
Customs duty is a tax imposed on imports and exports of the goods. Hi, good day everyone. My name's Daniela Alimanya and welcome to Group B. If you're having a hard time getting the customs duty, worry not, because I will be here to discuss everything you need to know about how to get it right in the simplest and most fun and exciting way possible. Alright, let's not take this long and we will begin. Following the transaction value method in determining the dutiable value prescribed under Customs Administrative Order 4-2004, the dutiable value for an imported article is a price paid or payable for the goods when sold for export to the Philippines after considering several adjustments. And since we're talking about computation, I have provided one scenario for the purpose of practical application. And to compute the customs duty on this certain scenario, we need to follow these 4 salient steps. The first step is to determine the 3 components of dutiable value. These are the customs value, insurance, and freight. First one is the customs value, which is FOB or FCA, or based on the Incoterms 2020, depending on what Incoterms you are using. And second is the dutiable freight governed by CMO 22-2007. Third is the dutiable insurance, governed by the same law. We use 2% of the FOB or FCA for general cargo and 4% for dangerous cargo. From the given situation that I have provided, we would multiply $46 to 2, and we would get $92,000 for our customs value. And the insurance is 5% of customs value. So the 5% of customs value there is $4,600. And our freight is $1,300 per container. And since we have 2 containers, we would multiply it to 2 and we'll get $2,600. And after we have determined the 3 components of dutiable value, we will just simply add those values. So the sum or the transaction value is $99,200. Now, if you already have the sum of your customs value, FOB or FCA, dutiable freight, and dutiable insurance, it's really easy for us to proceed on the second step, which is to determine the dutiable other charges. Dutiable other charges refers to mandatory additions. So you have your commission, assists, royalties, packaging, proceeds, insurance, and transport. But if none or it has no evidence of mandatory additions, then there is really nothing to add. Just go directly to step 3. And if there is, just like the provided situation, we will add the assist to the sum of our 3 components of dutiable value. So if we will add $300 assist to our sum earlier, we would get $99,500. And that is our transaction value or the dutiable value in dollars. But take note that we still need to convert those values in Philippine peso, leading us to the third step. We need to determine the exchange rate issued by Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas governed by CMO 14-2019. And given that the updated rate of exchange is 48 pesos and 40 cents, we would multiply it from the transaction value or dutiable value in dollars from the computation that we have earlier. And now, we get the dutiable value in peso equivalent to 4,815,800 pesos. And for the last step in getting the customs duty, we need to determine first the rate of duty, or ROD, as per classification of goods under AHTN, section 104 of TCCP. And from the given, the rate of duty is 7% ad valorem. And when we say ad valorem, it means according to value. If we multiply the dutiable value in peso and rate of duty of 7%, we get 337,106 pesos. And everyone, that is now our customs duty for that specific situation. So that's basically it. That was my discussion in getting the customs duty. I hope you've learned something. Just conceptualize the 4 important steps and keep practicing. You can do it. I believe in you.
That's it. How well do you understand the topic? Now, to test your understanding, let's see if you can solve this problem. Prepare your pen, paper, and calculator and compute the customs duty using the given provided. Your time starts now. Okay, are we having the same answer? Let's see. Alright, applause for everyone who got the correct customs duty, and for those who don't, try to check if you missed something in your computation, or you can actually rewatch the part of the video. Okay?
Good day everyone, I am Clendon Perez from Group B and I am going to report about the kinds of customs duties. So let's tackle first what is customs duties. Basically, customs duty is a tariff or tax imposed on goods when transported across international borders. The purpose of customs duty is to protect each country's economy, residents, jobs, environment, and etc. So let's go to the kinds of customs duties. There are 4 kinds of customs duties, namely the ad valorem duty, specific duty, alternative duty, compound or mixed duty. So guys, I think these kinds of duties is already familiar with us since it was discussed in the last school year, right? So I'll be only giving short ideas regarding with these customs duties. So the first one is the ad valorem duty. Ad valorem duty is a Latin phrase meaning according to value of imported articles expressed in percentage. For the ad valorem duty, it has advantages and disadvantages. And for the advantages, the burden of duty remains the same regardless of changes in the market price of the goods. And for the ad valorem duty disadvantages, importers are inclined to undervalue their imports. So for the specific duty is one levied in goods according to their weight, gauge, or other measurement or quantity as so much per kilogram, liter, pair, piece, and etc. For the advantages of specific duty, it is easier to levy because what the customs has to do is to take the measurement, volume, or quantity of the good. And for the disadvantages, the burden of the duty remains the same as the level of the prices varies. And for the alternative duty or the alternate duty is one containing specific rate and alternative ad valorem rate levied upon a single commodity, whichever is higher. Last but not the least, the compound or mixed duty is one combining both specific and ad valorem duties. So in getting the compound duty, all you have to do is to add the specific duty and the ad valorem duty. So like for example, for the specific duty is 5,000 and for the ad valorem duty also is 5,000. All you have to do is to add the 5,000 from the specific duty and the ad valorem duty, and that is 10,000, and that is the compound duty.
So, good morning guys, this is Raul James Kalunsag, and my report is all about conversion of units. Unit conversion is one of the topics that you need to master in order to do well in physics. And in the same manner, we can also use this information in our field, customs, like doing our valuation on goods. Conversion of units is the conversion between different units of measurement for the same quantity, typically through multiplicative conversion factors. SI there means the International System of Units, commonly known as the metric system, is the international standard for measurement. To measure these quantities, units of measurements are required. There are times when the units used for the measurement do not match the measurement preference and convenience as well as the standards prescribed for certain processes and applications. Below is the list of the different units and their conversions. We have length. 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meter. We have weight. 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 gram. And we have volume. 1 kiloliter is equal to 1,000 liter. So what is actually the pretty basic rule of converting units? Well, the basic rule is if you need to convert from a larger unit to a smaller unit, multiply. And if you need to convert from a smaller unit to a larger unit, divide.
Well, now let's try converting the following measurement to the indicated units using the unit cancellation. I'll teach you. Let's try converting 3 feet to inches. Okay, we start with 3 feet and the word feet is going to cancel, so around at 1 feet in the denominator. In this case, we can go from feet to inches because we know that 12 inches is 1 foot. So go pick up your pen and draw a slanting line through that. And actually, canceling those units is very helpful, and inches is the unit that did not cancel. So inches would be left as part of the answer, and since we have 3 in the numerator and 12 in the numerator, or the answer is going to be 3 times 12, that equals to 36 inches. We know that we would multiply it by 3 instead of dividing by 3, because we know that inches are smaller units and that feet are larger units. So that's how you do the conversion using the unit cancellation. Now let's try and check if you can solve this equation. Try solve this one, 7 centimeter, 2 millimeter. If we have the same answer, well done, congratulations! Well, I guess that would be all for our presentation. How was it? Congratulations to everyone, and yes, a touch simplified copies of our presentation are provided below. Thank you again, and I hope you enjoyed and I hope you have learned something from us. On behalf of Group 2, on behalf of my group mates, this is Christine Joy Bayon-on. Thank you, stay safe, have a great day.